This is a classroom, possibly the most dangerous in the world. The nation's elite commandos are training to free fall in a technique known as Halo. That's high-altitude jumps, low opening canopies.
It's a high-risk training. If things go wrong, people get killed.
They've had their first jump. Now training intensifies with uncontrolled spins, twisted lines, a near mid-air collision, and the terror of night week. Most will pass, some will fail. All will endure the anguish that comes with the death of a comrade.
You could die at any time in a Spec Ops team. That happens more than what we'd like to have happen.
Today in Yuma, Arizona, these Special Operations Commandos leave the safety of an airplane and enter the world of military freefall.
Wind's gonna start coming down, wind's gonna start picking up.
They have just 14 days to become combat certified in one of the most sought-after skills in the military. Each day, training becomes more complex and challenging. They'll learn to fall to earth at an average of 150 miles per hour in tight groups. Oxygen masks will obscure their vision. Bulky combat gear and weapons will destabilize their flight. And then there's night week, when the entire training begins again from the top, this time in the dark.
This night jump's going to be the same as your first jump, where your eyes will be closed, just like the first one.
They are training to join Halo teams, the military's new smart weapon, designed to place American warriors behind enemy lines. Small teams of elite commandos jump at night from planes flying as high as 35,000 feet, beyond enemy detection. They free fall for miles and open chutes close to the ground to minimize exposure to enemy eyes. After they land, Halo teams call in airstrikes, rescue downed troopers, and infiltrate remote locations. The training for this mission began 2 weeks ago.
Your O2 ball will hang.
At Fort Bragg, North Carolina, trainees learn to fly their bodies on classroom tabletops.
I would never let you get on a plane with this, all right?
They sweated over parachute packs and struggled to learn airborne maneuvers in the world's most powerful vertical wind tunnel.
For me, definitely the tunnel. It wasn't as nice to me as most people.
Just after dawn this morning, these warriors made their very first free fall jump.
That first jump, going out, I think that'll always stick in my mind. Never done this before.
Students here represent the best of the armed services. Out of 44,000 special operators, these are the chosen few, training for a mission that redefines the way war is fought. Freefall School Commander Buck Dellinger knows the stakes are high for this class.
Mark that and then sign your name.
This is real life or death. They had it on a crawl walk stage back at Fort Bragg, and now it's time to run. Right now, they're thinking about all the things that we've talked about for the last week. What if this happens? What if that happens?
Not all are nervous. Airman Adam Mulson was called the Natural for his ease in mastering the wind tunnel, and his first freefall jump is nearly perfect.
So I was turning and they let me do a couple other things up there, so it was really fun.
What's that?
Sergeant Corey Paul hopes on this jump he can fix the spin that plagued his rides in the wind tunnel.
Nervousness and apprehensive, stomach and knots, and it's time to get it on. You know, I've been waiting so many years to do this.
Paul is relaxed on exit and gets his body parallel to Earth. But seconds into freefall, a familiar problem reappears.
Coming out here, pretty much was the same thing. You know, spinning uncontrollably. You know, pretty much moving like, you know, a leaf falling out of the sky and not really, you know, controlling myself.
If a halo jumper can't control his body in the air, he risks fatal collision with other flyers. To help students understand their freefall problems, the school uses video shot by instructors.
His right leg, he keeps bringing his right leg in real tight, and that's what's making him spin. And look at your body. See how bent your knees are?
Roger, backslide.
And now look at the angle your body is right there. You see it right there? Why you're going backwards in that.
That's your right arm, too. Your right arm's back.
See how you're kind of going backwards in that.
Spread arms in, elbows up.
It could save their life. A video could teach them what they're doing wrong because they see it. You don't have 360-degree eyeballs around somebody's body.
It's a bonehead flat top pro helmet. Put your chin in there, kind of get it snug. You don't want it too tight because then when you ratchet the bone in place, it won't lock. So you get it snug, lock the ratchet down, reach up, hit the button, wait for the blue light. Blue light tells me I'm in standby. You just kind of put what you're looking at, kind of aim it, and whatever the crosshair's on is what the camera's going to see. Every now and again, you might get hung up with something that is just so ridiculous that you just lose kind of time-space awareness. You might have a student that he comes out of the plane, he tumbles 6 times, goes into a violent spin, and you're just watching it thinking, I'm really glad I'm not him. And 20 seconds later, you realize, you know, I haven't looked at my altimeter in about 20 seconds. And the student's still tumbling and spinning, and you're just watching him. So you kind of have to really work to keep your awareness.
Look right here. See how flat your body is?
The video has helped instructor and trainee identify the problem. Now the question is, can they fix it?
Gotta hold over there.
Oh boy. Hold it, hold it, hold it!
Corey Paul is not the only student experiencing difficulties. The first blast of wind on exiting the plane has been wreaking havoc on Jason's self.
I tumbled a little coming out, just not getting my legs up on my butt enough.
After a frustrating day, Self moves to an unlikely venue to do his homework and rehearse his exits.
It kind of simulates being on the edge of the ramp. Make sure you have a good arch, head up, because your body goes where your head looks. If you have your head down, you're going to roll. And then arms out, straight in front of you, your feet up on your butt, coming out. My buddies could be there critiquing me, you know, usually very negatively.
Some of these airmen have no business critiquing their boss. But Adam Molson does. He's the natural. Day 2 of military freefall school in Yuma, Arizona. Trainees face a brutal milestone, their first make-or-break examination.
Say it one more time.
Said, oh yeah, I'm scared.
The instructor's constant banter is designed to keep the class from overthinking the next set of jumps.
See, they don't give me plastic guns because they got hands like weapons, right? And fingers like knives, knives like fingers. Whoa, whoa! What we want to try to do is get them to relax and let them know, hey, it's going to be all right, you'll be good. Start thinking about other things besides getting afraid of jumping. Because what's going to happen is they sit there and think about it, they'll think themselves right out of the jump.
Instructors, C-130 is in the sun.
I will not be muzzled, thank you.
It's day 2. Winds are currently 4 knots out of the east. Typical morning out here at Yuma. The students are working on their 4th jump right now. They did 3 yesterday, and hopefully they'll get 3 today.
Captain Jason Self has tumbled twice on exit. On this jump, the training kicks in.
Awesome exit. No assistance, finally nailed that jump. All those practices paid off. When I jumped out, I just kept saying to myself, arch, look up, look up. And I guess it worked, because Gunny Sergeant Schindler, once I squared away the exit and was falling, He was like, okay, all right.
Nailing the exit is just the beginning. The key to the first test is mid-air maneuvers. They'll turn left by deflecting wind off their right hand, arm, and right side of the body. They engage the same procedure on the opposite side. Trainees hold a fixed point in freefall by arching, relaxing, and letting the air flow evenly over their entire body. It's called maintaining a heading. These drills demonstrate they'll be able to maintain control when they freefall in formation with other jumpers. At 5,000 feet, they wave off to warn others they are about to pull their ripcord. At 4,000 feet, they pull. Once under canopy, jumpers fly their custom-designed ram air parachute to Earth at speeds up to 30 miles per hour.
The front or nose of the canopy actually has these cells. It will ram the air into the canopy and the tail is sewn shut.
Parachutists lose altitude by angling the wing nose down, reducing lift. Dipping the nose on one side of the wing allows for turns. Trainees land into the wind to slow their airspeed. If the wind is at their back, it could double their velocity, increasing the chances of a crash. They hit the brakes by flaring the nose up, causing the chute to climb slightly and lose forward speed. Just as the chute stalls, jumpers should be inches off the ground, able to control their landing. Precision counts. The landing target is a desert drop zone, surrounded by power lines and artillery ranges. Army Ranger Corey Paul, roster number 39, is still struggling with an unremitting spin.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. 29. 29's good. Back.
39 is no good. 39 is no good.
Not really, like feeling in control. Yeah. Spin a little bit, but then I can kind of come out of it, and then I start spinning again, and it's kind of frustrating.
Marine Captain Robert Trzynski's problem is with his exit. He hasn't mastered that first blast of air.
You're still contending with that relative air because you're traveling forward.
Corey Paul and Robert Trzynski head back to the terminal to prepare for their last chance jump, while other trainees move on.
Copy, jumpers away, stand by for canopy count and strike report.
On the next jump, a problem in the air.
Okay. There's two real low, there's two right above them.
Instructors spot a parachute without a body attached. Roster number 45, a Navy SEAL, cut away his main parachute and deployed his backup chute. The student is shaken, but instructors are relieved that he remembered his training.
Couldn't separate the lines from kicking. Lines are wrapped up. Check my altimeter. Pulled again. Tried kicking a couple times. Spin kept picking up faster. That was it. Look, pull, grab, look, pull, grab. Okay.
It's right here, the rubber bands that control the stows either broke or were worn out to where they weren't holding the stows properly. As each stow, as the D-bag gets further away, releases one at a time. What we think happened is that they came out all at once, which as they hit the wind, caused tension knots and the suspension lines to twist.
Back at the terminal, Army Ranger Corey Paul and instructor Mike McGlamory take a moment on the sidewalk to fix his trouble in the air.
He's fine in the air, except you just can't stop the spin. And it's not really a what I'd call a vicious spin. It's just a slow spin that he's not countering.
This retest jump is critical for both Corey Paul and Robert Trzynski. If they do not correct their problems now, they will be dropped from military freefall school. For Corey Paul, it's been a 10-year dream to come to this course. Robert Trzynski jumps first. A little shaky, but no backflip. The retest is a success.
That's right. You cleaned up within 500 foot. Good jump. Nice. Enjoy the jumps, all right? This is fun.
Corey Paul steps to the ramp and off into a perfect exit as usual.
So I saw the river, checked my altimeter, did my right turn. Came around, and then, checked my altimeter, did my 654, 6,000, cleared my airspace, 5,000, did my wave off, at 4,000, reached the pool. Stable platform, flat, wasn't spinning, nothing, straight up. Parachute open, I was like, yeah, man, woo! I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes? No? Gotta look at video first.
Paul is confident he's passed, but his instructor has sobering news.
Totally, I would have gave you that one, but you did two. And then you weren't able to hold it, you did a turn. I think it was to the left. You had numerous there. We got it on video.
Oh, all right, let's see when we get back. That one felt real good. Closer.
Hey, Sanities. We're having this meeting because we're recommending you for relief from the military freefall parachutist basic course. The rest of the course is starting their 2-on-1 jumps.
Roger.
You're already, you would be 3 jumps behind them right now.
Really sucks. Sucks bad, sir, but...
If someone can't reach the standards by grade exercise 1 with a retest, a retrain, and a retest... These are all type A+ personalities. They've never failed at anything in their life. They don't expect to fail when they come here. But for the ones we drop, it's going to be difficult for them.
In one of the coolest courses the Army has to offer, got in finally after years of wanting to be here, and then now I'm not in the course anymore. You're asking how I feel. Really, really, really frustrated, and not, at anyone in particular. It might sound corny. People are like, yeah, whatever, man. You just got kicked in, in the stomach, and you're gonna smile and keep driving on. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
At dawn the next morning, Corey Paul heads back to his old job, his wife, and his family in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The same morning Corey Paul is dropped from military freefall, the school shuts down. Students are ordered to gather in the terminal.
The one thing I noticed when I got there was the parking lot was kind of empty. So something's not right. And we walked in, and they brought us around in a group. So Major Dillinger at that point came to us, and that's when he told us that there'd been the fatality.
At 9:30 p.m. the previous night, Sergeant Shane Raker, an instructor for an advanced school, was killed on the very last jump of training. He landed hard and broke his neck, a dreadful accident for such an accomplished instructor.
We've got a prepared statement On the evening of 19 May, the military freefall school suffered the loss of one of our finest instructors, Sergeant First Class Shane Raker. It was their last jump in that course. It was a culminating event, and it was an airborne operation from exit altitude of 12,500 feet.
The schools are shut down immediately. Commander Buck Dellinger begins managing fallout from the tragedy.
We determined the equipment wasn't at fault. And then was training at fault? Was there a criminal situation? So right off the bat, 3 different investigations start. The investigative teams were busy, very busy. Interviews were going on 24 hours a day.
I've lost a friend, and I can tell you that it does get to you. You do think about it. You know, you kind of take a look at your life, and you kind of wonder, you know, is this really what I want? Is this what I'm doing? The right thing? Is this what I'm meant to do? We've all got to go back in tomorrow and get in an aircraft and jump out. And the students are on their 7th, 8th jump, and now they'll be thinking about this. And myself, I've seen at least 4 people go in. 10 minutes later, I crawled on the plane. I had to. Because you don't want to think about it all night. Just get back in the sky. I mean, you could die at any time in a Spec Ops team. That happens more than what we'd like to have happen.
Trying to keep up a positive facade for the students, for the other instructors, always maintaining strength as well as you can, but at the same time not suppressing the empathy so much that people think you're not human. And so that was it's all been difficult, and maybe the most difficult stage has not even hit yet.
At dawn, students and instructors assemble in the drop zone for a memorial to Sergeant Raker.
Whether wittingly or not, the military seems to make these things just as harsh as they can. I think that helps the healing process, and we remember the people we lose, we honor them, and we do it in the most professional way that we know how. The unfortunate thing is, sometimes that's very emotionally draining to move the people into the healing phase and get them back into training.
Get these men back up in the air. How's that, sir?
Man, fall out. You have 10 seconds to get on that bus to commence training. Fall out! Get on the bus. Man, let's get on the bus.
Military Freefall Course 0307 resumes immediately.
I understand what they're going through because it was a close friend of theirs. So at the same time, I think it works both ways. They were getting themselves back into it, as well as helping the students get back into it.
Long hair hippies.
Instructors have the near impossible task of changing the grim mood and getting freefall trainees back in the air.
I've still got all my hair. I just keep it in a box under my bed.
Mine moved to my back.
Yep. Back in here.
Our only peace is when we're in the air because then he stops talking.
But if I didn't talk to him, you know what had happened? Oh, buddy.
Oh, buddy. Cheetos.
He wouldn't be here
Extra
right now.
crispy.
Cheetos.
Extra crispy.
Chucked out of the side of the car like a bag of Cheetos. Look at him.
Students move swiftly onto their next set of challenges. On this jump, they add a piece of combat equipment.
Up until this point, they haven't been jumping with anything other than learning how to fly the body. Now we're going to put a rucksack on them, and these rucksacks weigh anywhere from 35 to 45 pounds.
The addition of bulky gear means relearning the aerodynamics of flight.
You know, when we're going real world stuff, we don't have all our radios, water, food. I mean,
everything will be in there. Probably more than 40 pounds.
At 1,000 feet, this is where you guys are going to start setting up everything for your ruck. You're going to go ahead and cross your leg.
Every time you do something, look at it, and then look up. Keep your head on a swivel, because you're going to get so
A fun ride if you don't have it hooked on right. Just keep spinning and spinning and spinning.
As hard as it is for trainees, this is one of the most difficult days for instructors. They constantly fend off arms, legs, and torsos as they try to correct free fall form while falling rapidly toward the ground.
When I fly down to that student, the first thing I want to do is grab a hold of him, work your way to his chest so that you can look him in the face and you tell him to arch. And when you tell him to arch, you want to flip him over and then keep a hold of him so that he stays in that good body position.
A few classes back, instructor Dave Fisher jumped with a student he simply could not fix. 51 spins in 53 seconds, the rucksack took the student for a ride.
After I hit him like 6 times trying to get a hold of him, then I went back to him, he kicked my goggles off. I was working hard on that one. That was the hardest jump I ever had to do.
At 3,000 feet, Fisher had to let the trainee go. The automatic opening device deployed the student's parachute and saved his life. The next morning, he was on a plane back to his home base. Next jump, students add oxygen and a weapon strapped to their side to simulate combat jumps from 35,000 feet. At very high altitudes, oxygen deprivation, called hypoxia, sets in. Jumpers risk confusion, unconsciousness, and even death.
With the oxygen, it eliminates some of your ability to see what's going on. We have to make sure we know where are those latches that we have to pull. You know, we're in the oxygen mask. You have to do it by feel.
The emphasis is no longer on getting trainees to relax. There are just 3 days left in military freefall school. The relentless pace will continue, and risks will compound as the school moves into night jumps.
There they are. I've seen 2 more.
You got 16 good ones? 101 LA, 16 good camping.
Morning on the drop zone. This is the last cycle of day jumps at military freefall school in Yuma, Arizona.
The temperature is about 106 degrees right now, but it's a dry heat. But it's still pretty warm. And everything seems to be going good so far. We have almost a couple hundred jumps in total already. The guys also practicing grouping, where we're trying to get the guys to jump as a team, land in a relatively same area within 100 meters of the first guy hits the ground.
You don't want to have people pulling at different altitudes. You've got one student over here that's doing great, it's going to pull at 4. This guy's over here, he's having issues, and he gets underneath this guy, and he pulls at 5.5. Now we've got a potential collision.
Ready, set, go.
In the first jump of the day, disaster is narrowly avoided. While trying to fly his body in group formation, roster number 6 suddenly flips on his back and tracks right into the path of Captain Jason Self as Self engages his chute.
I would have to say he was in about a 10-meter radius of number 7, both to the left and in front of, and above him. It was pretty close. It was danger close.
He was swimming. He was on his back, kicking and swimming.
He finally found his ripcord on his back and pulled it, but that time it was way too late.
It's tough. Something caused your body, the stress, to react incorrectly at the most critical portion of the dive. It created a very unsafe situation. We're going to recommend to the battalion commander that you not continue training. At this point, I don't have the confidence that you're not going to have something like this happen again in a critical portion.
It's about a 3-mile drive back to the company. It's sorry, have a good day. There's not much you can say, so it's a pretty quiet ride. You just feel bad.
Night Week, the defining event of military freefall school. Halo Freefall is used to insert small special operations teams wherever the enemy may be. To do that undetected, they jump at night from extremely high altitudes.
From the very beginning, we built all the training we did was built up for Night Week. This is where it all comes to play. The first night's always good, especially when aircraft and it's really dark, and then the ramp opens up and it's really dark out there. So a little tension, of course. I mean, even for the instructors.
With no moon expected tonight, the drop zone will be nearly impossible to see. Instructors mandate a landing technique that is essentially a controlled crash. As their feet hit the ground, they collapse their entire body to absorb impact. It's called a parachute landing fall, or PLF.
That's how you do a PLF. Balls of the feet, calf, thigh, buttocks, push-up muscle or pull-up muscle. So expose it. So preparing for night PLFs.
Look, grab, arch, pull, throw away, check.
Well, it could be same as the daytime with your eyes closed.
Some of you guys, this night jump's going to be the same as your first jump. You're going to be looking at your altimeter, or your eyes are going to be closed, just like the first one.
Lean forward with me, guys. Ready, set, go. Dive out.
You may go the entire jump without seeing anyone to the bottom end.
Instructors prepare students for the challenge of flying in stacked formation while unable to see each other in the night sky.
You see red, what are you going to do?
Turn away to the right.
Okay.
We're going to do S-turns that are about 300 to 500 meters long.
Use your best judgment, and it takes experience.
Everyone, like from prior classes or whatever, say don't listen to what the instructors say. The instructors say no matter what you hear from your buddy, don't listen to them. So.
As the pressure mounts, Navy rigger Doug Homus gets an urgent call from home in Virginia Beach.
My wife Kathleen gave birth to a 6-pound, 9.5-ounce baby boy, Jonathan Mitchell. And so now I got to get that all out of my head, as excited as I am, because we're doing night jumps, and that's where all your concentration and everything counts.
You guys ready to rock?
Ready to rock.
I'll be with you in a couple minutes. Don't forget the extra red chem light.
2750. 2750. We have chem lights, obviously, to see each other at night. We have red up front and green in the back. The red, so if we see somebody that's coming at us, we're going to see red. So that's a bad thing. Steer away. The back of the helmet has 2 green chem lights on it, along with 1 strobe light. As soon as we're under canopy, that's when we turn the strobe light on.
Ready to get it on? It's going to be done.
Right, when I get the spot, I'll call it up on the 130. 169, this is Phillips. You are clear to drop.
It's about to get, oh my God, it's dark. And as they're looking out the back of the plane, they're not seeing anything.
At 12,500 feet, freefall trainees commit to the mission and dive into the inky Arizona night.
All right, Chief, you ready? It's about to start hitting. 169 Phillips, copy 4 away. Stand by.
The good news is, for these guys, the drop zone is bordered by the red strobe lights out there a ways. The bad news is those are power lines. Yeah, he's low. He is low. Jeez.
Commander Buck Dellinger has doubled the number of instructors scanning the sky for nearly invisible students.
We're not looking at the stars. when it comes to night operations. The stars we're looking at are attached to bodies. I wish I could give you some poetic story, but honestly, when we're looking at the back of that plane, we're doing nothing but looking for those jumpers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Verify count with the bird.
You know, we've had these situations where we've had collisions in free fall, collision during opening. I don't know if you can detect it or not, but each time there's a little anxiety, and there's 3 or 4 people out counting those canopies.
169, winds are 5 knots. 69, this is Phillips. Roger, sir. Winds are 240 at 7. Continue. Understand, continue, thank you.
Instructor on the deck.
All you see up there are the chem lights of your teammates up there. Line them up, and once we were set, we just looked around and enjoyed the city lights. The jump seemed to last 5 minutes, even though we were, free falling for only 60 seconds. It was incredible.
All right, got one on the deck.
Special operations own the night. This is where we work. This is where we operate.
When you turned downwind, did you feel the push?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then why did you keep going?
Those feet knees together, rotate yourself in one direction and beat that direction up, okay?
A little slow on that exit there, weren't you, boss?
Standing between these trainees and graduation day is one last night of jumps and the first realistic simulation of a Halo mission.
Bottom line, slow.
Okay? All right, guys, good job.
The winds are low, the air is cool, and tonight there will be 0 illumination. These free-fall trainees have progressed together through 20 days of rigorous training. The memory of a beloved instructor killed here on his final night jump just 1 week ago has students and instructors on edge.
Right now is their first culminating jump, O2 combat equipment. Tonight is what we've been training for. So, see you on a drop zone.
Yeah.
This is Phillips. It's looking pretty dark right about now.
On the drop zone, instructors know better than to let their guard down for even a second.
At 4, continue.
When there's 0 winds, you have more forward drive. And when it's really dark and you can't see, like the students are going to be landing out there in the pitch black, they're going to be crashing.
This is the most difficult jump students have performed so far, and the night is especially dark. They are lugging 40-pound rucksacks, and weapons are strapped to their sides. Oxygen masks obscure their vision. They fly in close groups of 8, and there is no wind to slow down their landings.
Hold it. They're not going to get any better until they start applying what we've taught them. There's a million different things you can do to burn altitude off if you're close to the target. There's nothing you can do to go back up in the air. Well, they have something, but it's called an airplane, but they've already left that behind. So there's nothing they can do to make their parachute go back up in the air. There's a lot of things they can do to burn altitude off. They need to stay tighter on the target.
Thought I flared on time, just a little bit too late. I had my feet and knees together, my knees came up and my stomach knocked all the wind out of me, and I just, like a snowball, just kept rolling. First you see green chem light on my helmet, and you see red and green, red and green, red and green, like a Christmas tree.
You hear this, and like a rucksack and a bunch of tumbling of chem lights and everything, and so hopefully no one gets hurt on that last jump.
Kids, don't try this at home.
The last group is out of the airplane. Trainees are flying well, but they can't see the drop zone, and there's no wind to slow them down. The instructor's big fear, seeing a strobe light that is not turned off.
Strobe light's off, that's the first thing that the students lets us know that there's not an incident. If the strobe light stayed on, then instantly we would think that there's something wrong.
Minutes later, there's a flashing strobe light on the DZ and a call for help. Roster number 33, a Special Forces soldier, is hurt. Sergeant Donnie Bain, a Special Forces medic, is relieved to see the trainee is conscious. His ankle is badly broken, but his injuries could have been worse.
What happened?
The student's luck isn't all bad. If this were not his last jump, he would have to start training over again.
Is that swelling already? That last jump for him. You know, he's going to go away with some wings, though. Glad it happened tonight, not last night.
He may spend the night in the hospital, but roster number 33 will receive his wings. Military Freefall Course 0307 is complete. Commander Buck Dellinger and his instructors can breathe easy.
Class 0703, attention. Stand at ease. Petty Officer Second Class Holmes. First Class Kabag. This is some of the statistics that we had for the class. Total instructor jumps 869. Total student jumps 1,200, exactly. 2 student malfunctions. You're safe.
All of you were warriors when you got here. You're more lethal warriors now because you're more confident. If you had to, right now, you could go jump into a combat situation. So you're trained.
Many of these troops will now become part of 45 freefall teams deployed around the world. They are secret weapons, self-contained strike forces, 21st century warriors deployed on unspeakably dangerous missions that you and I will never know about.
Our objective is to infiltrate at night undetected. On a moonless night, no illumination, we're putting people in, trainees, guys, minimum number of jumps, and they're executing, landing within 50 meters of the group leader at night under no wind and high wind situations. I think it's successful training that we've got here at the Free Fall School to get these guys in 28 jumps to that level.
I'll take away a lot of things from here about adversity and dramatic circumstances, how to just move on.
All of us are very eager. One of the classes that graduated in front of ours was in enemy territory doing the mission 72 hours after graduation.
I like being able to take somebody who doesn't know anything about something, and by the time they leave here, they're good at it. I mean, if that doesn't make you feel good, something's wrong with you. And he may be the one that I see 10 years from now or 5 years from now. He's like, you know what? I did a 20,000-foot jump into a combat situation, and he was the one to save the day. Someday, maybe.